So you've just captained Mohamed Salah in a 9-0 battering and he's got nothing. Where do we all go from here? Welcome to Gallowgateshots FPL Show. I'm Daniel and we're going to talk through today how to gain an edge. Because at the minute, we all seem stuck in the same place. We're all in the same boat and we need some differentials. Now, there's no Matt here again today. He should be back next week. He's still away camping. I don't know anyone that's been camping for 8 days personally. Maybe he's went camping in consecutive weekends. Either way, it's untrustworthy behaviour. But I'm here. We're going to talk through everything. What do we do with Salah? We've got some new Newcastle assets to talk about. And what type of moves can we make to climb up your leaderboards when everyone's got the same team? So we'll start with Mohamed Salah. There's been lots of talk about whether to ditch him, just like last week there was lots of talks about whether to ditch Trent, and we saw how that went. What I'd say the difference is we all know Mohamed Salah is going to score loads. He is going to score, he's going to get assists. He's already hit a couple of big returns this season. The question becomes, is he worth 13 million? Is he a bankable captain when you can score 9 goals and you get nothing back whatsoever? And I do think that there is merit in going down to a Luis Diaz for 8 million or 8.1 or 8.2, whatever he is now, saving just about 5 million. And then you can put that money elsewhere. Now, who would you go for? I think one way to maybe gain an edge is to not argue over Kane and Haaland, but get them both in. If you do that, you can go down from Salah to Diaz, and I do think they're going to have roughly the same output this season. If you look at how Salah's been playing, he did have a big XG, which I know lots of people don't really care about, but it shows that he was in the positions. I mean, he missed a couple of absolute sitters, let's be honest. And on another day, he could have scored. But at the same time, Luis Diaz did exactly the same. I think they're going to be pretty even. Salah is on pens, but until players like Thiago come back, they are a lot less creative. I know Bobby Firmino got 3 assists and 2 goals, I think it was. But if you look at 2 of the assists, one was a missed touch, fair enough. And the other one, he's laid it back for Trent to have a screamer from 20 yards out. So I do think there is a case to be made for going against Salah. It all depends on how comfortable you feel. Do you need to hold rank? Do you need to gain it? What I've found personally with my rank at the minute is that I'm only moving up 100,000 each match day, which isn't very much, saying I'm not getting bad scores. So I think I need to make a difference. Harry Kane's got another 2, and he's just so reliable. He seems to be outperforming Son so far. That may change, especially when Champions League football comes. But if you're like me and you're planning on wildcarding in 3 weeks-ish, I think we can afford to go without Salah, especially when we're playing against Newcastle next week, and they are at home. But Newcastle, we've seen, aren't a soft touch. It does make a difference, obviously, if Bruno Guimaraes and Callum Wilson are going to be out. I think Callum Wilson's 100% going to be out. We don't know how Isaac's going to be performing. He may be amazing. He may take a little time to settle in. Hopefully, it's the former of the 2. So it's not ideal for Newcastle away at Liverpool, which we'll talk about later on. But I think Luis Diaz can match Salah anyway. And if you can get Kane and Haaland in, that's going to be a massive strength. Alternatively, you can get the straight swap from Salah to Kevin De Bruyne as well. I know he blanked with 4 goals this weekend. But again, I think he's got a return in every game this season other than that one. Not every player is going to get a return every game. It's not going to happen. So there is wiggle room. And like I say, if you're looking to try and gain rank, it's something that you should really, really consider. But if you aren't looking to be so kamikaze about things, there are a couple of other ways forward. So I think the glaring thing that I've noticed, and everyone else has noticed, and we've mentioned this last week, and I think we maybe even mentioned it the week before, was Brighton defence. It was a little bit of a toss-up between Brighton and Brentford. I think that's been answered now. It's Brighton all the way, conceded 1 goal in their opening 4 games. They played against Man United. They played against us. So they have played some good teams. They played against Leeds. Now, I think last week I said Brighton beat Leeds 1-0 every game, and it worked out that way. So I don't think that was too much of a surprise. But at the same time, Leeds have really been in hot form scoring goals. So for them to keep a clean sheet against them, I think is pretty impressive still. But if we look at Brighton's fixtures moving forward, they are absolutely mustard. So they've got Fulham this weekend. They've got Leicester, who aren't very good going forward at the minute. Then Bournemouth, then Crystal Palace in game week 8. And then they get on to a little tough run with Liverpool and Tottenham afterwards. But for people like me who are wildcarding, at that point, I don't think one Brighton defender is enough. I think we're all going to have to be maniacs and double up on Brighton defence if you're looking to gain an edge. Sanchez has already gone up in price. He's 4.6 now, which isn't bad. But I think it's an indication of how many people own him. And if that many people own him, you aren't going to climb. So consider a double Brighton defence. I know. You don't have to say anything else. But Lewis Dunk looks good. The new left back looks terrific, getting up and down. So there are players in defence. Joel Veltman seems to be okay with the bonus points at the minute in terms of just his BPS score. Obviously, when they're winning 1-0, the goal scorer and assisters are going to be in there. Sanchez actually got double bonus points off 2 saves at the weekend, and that's because of his distribution. So that is something to be aware of. But if you're not on double Brighton at the back, or at least a Brighton midfielder and Brighton defender, I think you're going to be losing out. I currently have none, and I will be changing it. A bit more of an obscure shout, which I never thought I'd be saying at the start of this season, even though I did say that I don't think they'd be doing too badly, is have you considered a double Leeds midfield? So a lot of us now have Rodrigo playing up front, and I think that's the right move to make. He's their top goal scorer. He looks to be the one getting involved in all the action. But their next fixtures, Everton at home, who are absolutely rubbish away from home. Brentford, who have been conceding a lot of goals. They've even conceded at Everton at the weekend. Nottingham Forest, they were terrible against Tottenham yesterday in defence. Man United away, who we don't know which Man United to turn up. Aston Villa at home in game week 9, they're rubbish. And Crystal Palace away, a bit tough, but even then, that's game week 10. If you're planning on, I think Leeds are great. If you're planning on wild carding, because you can get rid of them in 8 or 9. And if you're not, if you've already used it and you're going for that long game now, they've got great fixtures in these next 5 weeks. So I definitely recommend them. Harrison at 6 million seems to be the chief assister, but Aronson is all over just all over the pitch, up, down. He seems to be arriving in the box. He starts the press. So if there is going to be a mistake back there, we saw against Chelsea, he instigated that. He was really, really good. We all need cheap players in midfield. And I think the way that I'm starting to go is trying to highlight which cheap players I can go for, I can be brave with, and then trying to get as many other premiums in as possible to try and gain rank. We all have different plans. I would always preach patience as well. It's a long season, and you'll naturally gain rank around the Christmas period when things get a little bit more complicated. We've just had the World Cup. People will start to lose interest. If you can keep your interest, I think you'll naturally do better anyway. So if you want to be patient, I'll always support that. And lastly, for a Hail Mary, if you are considering wildcarding like in the next 2 weeks or so, maybe 3 weeks, and you're happy to bench this player, Ruben Neves scored an absolute belter against us yesterday. He was their best player by an absolute mile, despite his terrible, terrible interview after the game. I don't know what game he was involved in terms of thinking that we were the long ball team. But Wolves, their next 2 fixtures are Bournemouth, who have obviously just conceded an ungodly amount of goals this season. They are terrible at the back. And then Southampton at home. So the next 2 fixtures for Wolves look good. And a lot of people are on Neto. I still don't think he's a great option. But Raul Jimenez, Ruben Neves, if you're looking for a 2-week punt, however, I'll be honest, it's personally not for me. We'll move on to Newcastle. Now, we've obviously just bought Alexander Isak. What a fantastic talent. For anyone that doesn't know, I run a Champions League podcast, so we try and keep an eye out on La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, Liga, and a little bit on other leagues, but mainly those. And it's a player that obviously a lot of people have been following for the last few years, especially since his performances for Sweden. in the World Cup, the Euros, etc. Now, it may take a little time for him to settle in. It may not. But I think the most concerning thing is the fixtures and the injuries I mentioned earlier on. So if we look at Newcastle's fixtures over the next couple, Liverpool away, tough. Now, with Sion last week, we didn't talk about this. I'll still be playing Kieran Trippier in that game. I can't believe he didn't take that free kick at the end. Maybe it was a little too close to get it up and over, and he knew that. Still, I want him taking those. Crystal Palace at home, I'm not quite sure. We beat them last year, Miggy with goal of the month against them. But they can be a tough team. Obviously, you were 2-0 against Man City at the weekend. I thought they had a great period against Arsenal first game of the season. They aren't a soft touch at all. Vieira has certainly surprised me after his previous managerial performances, what he's doing with them. And they do have a good team, so that's not too easy. West Ham away, if Callum Wilson's back for that, he always scores against West Ham away. But then we're coming up with a good run of fixtures from game week 8. So that's Bournemouth, Fulham, Brentford. For me, I won't be getting in Isaac until those fixtures because we're going to have a much clearer idea of what he's capable of. When's Callum Wilson going to be back? Who is going to be the starting striker between the two? Are both of them getting played up front? Who knows? So that's going to be a wait and see for me. And I'm probably going to bring one of them in on my wild card. So that's just something for people to be aware of. Again, if you want to go with patience first instead of any of my previous ludicrous punts, then maybe this is the way to go. Be patient until you wild card. Identify where you are and then look to target those fixtures. A lot of people have already used the wild card, so you will have an advantage if you've still got it. But the main issue with it is the injuries. Bruno is so important to us, both in winning the ball, but the transition, how he beats the press, how he just sort of scares the life out of the opposition as well. And obviously Callum Wilson, he got 2 goals in his opening 3 games. He would have had 3 if the Brighton referee hadn't blown too early. So it's important that we recognise those and understand that we are weaker and therefore our assets for Newcastle are going to be weaker. Now, Trippier is the exception to that because of his free kick potential. And we still don't look bad at the back at all. If you look at the goal yesterday, it was from really poor position from Willock. Then he presses, and it's a great finish, regardless of what you say. So other than that, there wasn't too much to panic about. Alan Saint-Maximin is the word on many FPL lips at the minute. 3 assists against Man City and then a worldie yesterday. Do I want him? Again, same rule applies. I'm not too sure Liverpool and then Palace and maybe even West Ham are the right fixtures for him, especially with the injuries we've got. If we look at yesterday, how many clear-cut chances did he have personally? How many did he put on a plate for someone else? Not really. Is he going to be pulling out 25-yard Zinedine Zidane-esque volleys every week? I highly doubt it. But when we get that run of fixtures from Bournemouth, Fulham, Brentford, 6.5 million midfielder, he's someone I want to be considering. And I will likely go with the triple up of Saint-Maximin, Trippier, and a Newcastle forward. But again, let's be patient on that one. Now, in terms of my moves this week, I've done a mat. I have already been impatient stupidly. Last night, just totally panicked. I had a few drinks, let's be honest, after the game. And I decided to move Meslier onto Sanchez to get the Brighton goalkeeper. Not really looking at Leeds' fixture, which is a bit stupid of me because they've got Everton at home. So I do regret that. I should have just brought in a Brighton defender. I've got 1 more free transfer left, and I am looking at either, yes, getting in a Brighton defender. I do have some money. Or to look to downgrade Salah early doors. However, I'll probably keep Salah for this week. It depends on what the other premiums are saying. I don't like the fact that there's midweek fixtures for teams like Man City because I just don't know who's going to play. So who do I want to go to then? The only option really is Kane because I've used a transfer. I'm not going to take a -4. I don't think get Harry Kane in over Mo Salah. Doesn't really seem to make too much sense to me. So I will have a look But like I say, it's either going to be the double Brighton defence that I go for, or I might try to bring in another Leeds midfielder and look to see how I'm going to get on next week, because Leeds' fixtures are so good and they are looking really good attacking. I'm not put off by the fact that they didn't score against Brighton. We didn't score against Brighton, and I'm not put off by our attack outside of the bad fixtures and the injuries now. So Brighton are just one of those teams at the minute. With regards to captaincy, I won't be captaining Salah against Newcastle. I'm a Newcastle fan. I want to enjoy the game. I don't really care other than that, so I won't be captaining any Liverpool players. If I was to captain one, it probably would be Trent. He's got a pretty good record against us. Not sure how we'll do going forward against Liverpool, just with the injuries, and obviously how Isaac does. For me, it depends on how safe you want to play it. Lots of people will be going Haaland. Can't really argue too much with that. The issue is he going to play at all? Is he going to start and then come off early? Or is he going to not start and then come off the bench? Either way, against Nottingham Forest, as long as he gets minutes, I fancy him to score at any moment. He's an absolute machine. Got 18 touches at the weekend and scored a hat-trick. It just doesn't matter. He's just there to finish the chances that they provide in the box for him. An outside punt for captaincy. Currently, my vice-captain is Rodrigo. They're at home to Everton. They're so bad, Everton away from home. And Rodrigo is, I still think, actually no, Taalan's going to be the league's top goal scorer now after the hat-trick, but he's still right up there. He's Leeds' top goal scorer. He's playing up front. He's an out-of-position midfielder. He could even get that clean sheet point against Everton, which works extra in his favour. So I'm probably going to have him as my vice. Lots of people have him, which is why I thought I'd mention that. And it's really out the box. And again, we need to try to make moves that don't cripple us, but you might be able to gain an edge, because everyone seems to have the same team. The pricing in this game this year is stupid. You can have a team filled with top 6 players. Why? Why is that possible? So you're going to have to think outside the box and take risks if you want to climb. Otherwise, you're going to be doing what I'm doing at the minute, and that's just literally treading water. I've got a green arrow up from 1.8 million to 1.7 million. And as far as content creators, that's actually a good score from what I've seen. I've seen people that normally finish in the top 10K, like 4 millions, 5 millions, 6 millions, a couple of 2.5 millions. So if you're above these guys, congratulations, well done. Minimize your risk. But if you are looking to gain edges in your mini leagues, you are going to have to try something new. I do think doubling up on teams is probably the way to go. Doubling up on the best teams and really, really planning now. When are you going to use your chips? When are you going to use your wild card? For me, it's looking like game week 8. It's halfway through. I believe that is also an international break as well. I'm usually bored. But also you can tend to get on a lot of price rises during international breaks as well. So that can be pretty handy. So moving on now to the Gallowgateshots mini league, we do have a new leader. Liam, top with 101 points this week. Sanchez in goal, 8 points. Reece James with 7. Trent, massive, massive score, helping him out there as well. Also, if we notice, Luis Diaz in over Mohamed Salah, captained Haaland, and also had Harry Kane's 10-pointer. So a few things I've already mentioned in this video. I actually hadn't looked at Liam's team before I did this. I just thought I'd jump on at the end and have a look. And a few things that we've already talked about is the way that Liam's going, and it is it's benefiting him. Connor is in 2nd place, and we've got Matthew and Kieran and Callum all in joint 3rd. So that's tight at the top. Keep on going. Hopefully we can have some of the people in this mini league finish in those really, really high ranks. It's great to see the community doing so well. Best of luck to everyone else. There's still plenty of the season to go. You can catch up, and hopefully some of the tips that we've had today might help in doing that. That's it from me for this week's show. Obviously, Gallowgateshots have loads of other amazing content, so please don't forget to like and subscribe to them. Obviously, they've got the match previews, match reviews as well, and Matt will be on next week with me for the FPL show as well. So hopefully we've all got plenty of green arrows. Take care now. Bye.